Look, Australia not perfect, but we've got quite a good reputation for our athletes in terms of their cleanliness, and it's such an important reputation, isn't it, in sport? Is that the thing you're most proud of?
Yes, Tom, it certainly is. We've had a very good oversight of our anti-doping policies since they really got real in 1972 at Munich, and we've maintained a very good record for most of that time.
What was the atmosphere like at that time? Was there resistance, for example, around this sort of, pretty tough cop on the beat?
No, just the reverse. We were, at the end of the 1980s, we were quite distressed because there was a lot of doping happening around the world. Anabolic steroids use was rife, and there was a lot of support for ensuring that Australia kept our country clean and drug-free.
It's still a part of today's landscape, but in this constant sort of game, I suppose, between the authorities and the small number of athletes that do cheat, do you feel as though there's still the upper hand for the authorities? I mean, it doesn't seem widespread today.
Oh, Tom, that's a hard one. I mean, I thought the London Olympics were a great Olympics. In fact, I nearly graded them as high as Sydney. But since the London Olympics, which is the last one I went to, there have been over 100 positive tests in athletes who competed there. Now, a lot of that's been due to advances in our detection methods, but I mean, that's only 2 Olympics ago, over 100 positives. So, it's a constant fight. Yeah, we can never stop to think that we're on top of it, because there's new stuff being developed all the time.
There is, I guess, the good element in that regard, and the best deterrent is keeping these samples, and sometimes they go back, they get a new detection, and that's why you get those tests afterwards. Yep. Look, let's reflect on the Olympics you've seen, 40 years of the Games. You reckon Shane Gould's the best you've seen? Why?
Well, look, she's the best Australian. I mean, how do you compare a Michael Phelps with a Usain Bolt or a Dali, a brilliant Norwegian cross-country skier? But within Australia, in 1972, Shane was 15, attending her first Olympics. You know what Phelps did in his first Olympics? He got 5th in one race final. Shane won 5 medals, 3 gold, all in world record time. She also got a silver and a bronze. All individual medals, no relays. And in 1972, age 15, she held every world record for freestyle, from 800 to 1500. And you know what? Her first event in Munich wasn't freestyle. It was a medley relay. A world record by 2 seconds. I mean, you tell me what other athlete can match that performance? Okay, she retired at 16. She'd done an outstanding job, and if you looked at her, she was Australian of the Year after 72. She was, and so she deserved to be. She did a lot for our country. She was a wonderful ambassadoress for the country.
You make a case. It's one of those things. I mean, who knows what would have happened, but for that retirement, I guess, Ken. But all credit to her.
Could I tell you? I'm not sure that she would have done that well, because the East Germans were full of steroids. The East German women in Montreal were absolutely riddled with anabolic steroids. And there was a girl called Shirley Babeskopf, an American, who actually beat Shane in the 100 metres in Munich. And she trained her backside off for 4 years, and she didn't win a gold medal in Montreal. She got beaten by steroid-charged East German women. I think Shane retired at the right time.
So that's probably your best moment, and perhaps encapsulated at one of the worst ones. The systematic doping has just been so disappointing. The individual case that probably sticks in your mind still as well, Ben Johnson.
Absolutely. That made or break in the Olympics. I remember I was the one who actually took the message to Canada to say he was positive. And I'll tell a bit of a story if you want a joke. I got the message about 12:30 after the medical commission meeting finished, and I had to drive for an hour, or was driven, and then I had to walk about 1.5 kilometres, deliver the message, and walk 1.5 kilometres back, and got home about 3 a.m. And we only had one key to the room, and my wife had to open the door for me at 3 a.m. and she said, "You've been drinking with your Czechoslovakian mate again." And I said, "Val, no, I've been taking a positive test to Canada because Ben Johnson's positive. I haven't been drinking with." But I tell you what, the next night I did, because after the hearing, it was his birthday, so we all had a drink with him. The hearing finished at 4 a.m. It took 7 hours.
Well,
yes,
just tell us briefly. Hearing, that's a part of history, isn't it? How did you feel, that positive sample and delivering that news, and what was the reaction like?
Well, it was interesting. There was one newspaper columnist who happened to be from this state, said it was the end of the Olympics and how wrong he was. And it was Wayne Smith, I think, from Brisbane, said it was the making of the Olympics, and it was. I had been on record of saying that day, having taken the message, that if we didn't find Ben Johnson guilty because he was such a high-profile athlete, I would resign and tell them why. But there was never any doubt. You see, Ben Johnson was easy because when we came to look at his urine, there was clear evidence he'd been a chronic user of anabolic steroids. It wasn't a single dose. We knew from his urine that he'd been taking them for some time because that suppresses your own production. And we could see that in his urine sample.